Hello everybody, and welcome back to Pravus Gaming and more Plague Inc. Evolved official scenarios. Last time we did the Unknown Origin, and today we are doing Black Death, which I have been doing a lot of practice on. Did manage to get 2 stars in Mega Brutal, but that's the best I've been able to do, and hoo boy, this one is a doozy. It's actually really fun. It might be my favorite of the scenarios so far, but it's not easy, and it's widely regarded by the community as the hardest one, or one of the hardest, to get 3 stars. Nipah virus also being kind of up there. Patient 0 is infected with a previously dormant strain of Yersinia pestis from an unknown origin. Hey look! It's tied to this plague. Humanity must face a deadly bacterium that has been hidden for centuries, previously killing over 200 million people. However, the world has changed a lot in 700 years with better hygiene and more antibiotics. Will the disease be able to adapt and spread before its victims die off? Probably. Odds are against me, but we'll see. We're going to start off with the ATP boost for the speed, genetic mimic to slow down the cure because it is really rough in this scenario. Aquasite for the islands, herbophile because we're actually not going to start in Saudi Arabia today, and symptostasis is a must for this particular strategy. You could alternatively go for an extremophile and pathostasis run and start off in Saudi Arabia and use abilities and cure resistances to try and buy yourself time. But I don't think I recommend that. I think this one has a higher likelihood of succeeding, so we're going to go for this one. Mega Brutal, of course. Yes, Yersinia pestis. Here we go. Welcome to the Black Death scenario. We have been uncovered. Starting in China. Yeah, I know, we don't start in China very often. Why are we starting in China? Well, China has an incredibly high population of well over 1 billion people, lots of extra DNA early on in the game, and because of the Black Death being so severe, which I'll show you in a second, speed is really important for this scenario. There is no hiding, no going under the radar. You need to infect rapidly. So the extra DNA actually has a pretty good chance to give us an extra boost in speed. In order to get 3 stars, you need to be able to beat this in less than a year. And I think you have to have about 55% cure progress or less, somewhere around there. Let's go ahead and pick up our DNA. We did not get the extra DNA. That sucks. All right. Well, starting off with transmissions, we have Flea 1, which goes into Flea 2, and Rodent 1, which makes sense. This is the Black Death. Historically, this spread primarily by a flea, which traveled on rodents, which spread to humans and killed a ton of people throughout Europe and the Middle East and Africa and just kind of the known world at the time around the Mediterranean. As far as symptoms, you'll notice this actually looks very similar to what you would typically see on the bacteria, with a few minor exceptions. Namely, for example, we have buboes, infected lymph nodes. We also start with necrosis, which is really interesting. Also coma to slow down the cure. But necrosis is a big deal. Necrosis means that we start off very lethal and very severe. However, the dead do not reduce our ability to spread the plague. So as we infect and as we kill, do not fret. We can still kill using corpse transmission. But, again, this scenario is all about speed. You can't hide the necrosis, but my god, they're going to shut down that port quick, so you got to go fast. That's the entire point. Abilities. We start off with the standard cold, heat, and drug resistance, but 3 special abilities here, including Bubonic Plague, infecting the lymphatic system, and the bubonic form of plague, zoonotic and lethal, which basically just means you have access to all of the zoonotic transmissions, birds, livestock, rodents, and so on. Then we have the Pneumonic Plague, for pneumonia. Respiratory system, airborne, virulent, basically means this would unlock the air and water transmissions, which will be important later. And then lastly, we have septicemic plague, which is basically very lethal. That just unlocks tons and tons of lethality. Total organ failure and stuff like that, you name it, whatever you want. All right, we're going to go ahead and grab cysts and hypersensitivity right away for a very cheap boost to our infectivity. I highly recommend, as you get the DNA, make sure you are immediately spending it once it comes through. Know what you want, spend it immediately before the genetic drift has a chance to affect you. If you want 3 stars, every single day counts. Now, I'm probably going to screw that up because I'm trying to talk to you guys at the same time, and FYI, that makes it very difficult, but I'm going to do the best I can. Now, notice they already detected us. We've affected 147 people, and they've already spotted us. That is an inevitability of the Black Death. You cannot expect to go under the radar. That much lethality and severity, just no. So only 147 people infected. They've already detected us. It is quite severe, and they're going to want to work on the cure pretty early on. It's a race against time in a big, big way. All right, let's go ahead and grab sweating next. I think I'll save up for Rodent 1 next, which is going to cost me 11 points. So the second I get up to 11, I need to pause and go for it. That's 11. Good. All right, go for Rodent 1. Okay, now that we have Rodent, that unlocks livestock and birds. We're going to go for those. Hopefully this goes well for us. Earth not a planet, science body claims. Well, methinks you people might be stupid. Yeah, so China's already working on the cure despite only a very small minority actually being infected. So this is just the nature of this bubonic plague. It sucks, it's really rough. So be prepared to fail a lot on this scenario. I certainly am. And if this fails, then what I'm going to do is I did manage to record my successful attempt using this exact same strategy. And I probably will just speed through it and show you guys kind of what I did so you can kind of see that it works. All right, now that we have Bird 1, we're going to go for some resistances. And I'm going for the resistances early. I'm going to get a lot of them before the genetic drift has a chance to screw me over, I hope. Now, China is not specialized in heat or cold, so we're going to need both. Now that I have a level of hot and cold, I'm going to grab drug resistance next. That costs 13. Again, want to get this before the genetic drift affects you. That's one of the reasons speed is so important on this. I've had attempts with this exact same strategy, where even pretty much at this point in the game, the genetic drift made this cold resistance cost like 25 points. Like, it can be really substantial. Inflammation mutated for free. Mutation is not necessarily a bad thing, but you do need to pay attention that whatever you're getting is not grossly overly lethal. Oh, look at that. Heat resistance now costs 26 points. It's pretty substantial right there. All right, we will be getting environmental hardening pretty soon, but you know what? Now that we're starting to get around in some wealthier areas, let's save up for drug resistance level 2. Now, one thing that is special, actually, you know, I'll wait and show you this once I actually have drug resistance level 2. There we go. Genetic Reshuffle 1 will actually unlock a third level of drug resistance, and there is a fourth. Now, 3 and 4 actually slow down the cure as well as set it back. So it's kind of like getting a hardening and a reshuffle, or maybe it's just a reshuffle? I don't know. We'll get it later. But it's really good drug resistance as well as some extra cure resistance, which is pretty nice. All right, we did get into Japan. That is good at the very least. Okay, so now that we have all of those, the next thing I'm going to go for is Pneumonic Plague, I guess. And we're going to go ahead and grab coughing and pneumonia, get a little extra cold resistance. Sneezing, of course, is next on the list because that's very effective for a very cheap price. We will grab hemoptysis, coughing up blood from inflamed bronchi, increases infectivity, fatal in extreme cases. It's really all going to be about the islands at the end of the day here, and certain events that you get. If they have an awareness day, you're probably just done. I don't really see any way to fix that, unfortunately. So anyway, let's see. I'm not sure if I want the immune suppression. Let's see. Hang on. Suppressing immune system allowing. This does greatly increase our mutation. I'm kind of thinking we may want to go for the immune suppression. The problem is that lethality can kind of mess us up. So. Oh boy, it's a little bit tempting, but we're just going to go for water. We're going to go for water. I want to increase the likelihood that we can get a boat out, level 1 and level 2. All right, we could go for paralysis, which slows down the cure. You'll notice, by the way, they're already up to 25%, so we're going to slow that down slightly. Pulmonary edema, not a bad mutation, not super lethal, probably okay. Could go for the immune suppression now. Or I could go for the environmental hardening. It's really hard to say. We're going to go for the environmental hardening, and then I'm going to go for the immune suppression. I want that resistance. I want to increase the likelihood that we get to Greenland and any of these islands. Any of them will do. Please, for the love of God. We did get into Greenland. Okay. Not worried about Greenland as much as I am about New Zealand, the Caribbean, and especially Madagascar, which, it so happens, are the 3 that we are currently missing. This lethality can help. Mutation's important. Little worried if I get it that we're going to be in trouble, though. But I'm not going to get it. I'm not going to do it. We're going to grab septicemic plague instead. We did get into Madagascar. That's nice. We're going to go now for the abscesses. I'm going to get as much infectivity as possible, not looking to boost up my lethality. Global research now focused on a cure. That sucks for me. Nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea. Of course, the vomiting and the sneezing will increase the odds of getting a projectile vomiting combo, which is pretty nice. Okay, so now that we have all of that, New Zealand, I hate you so much. Okay, you're urban, you're wealthy. You closed down your airport, but not your seaport. There's a chance I could get a boat out to you still. Who else are we missing? Caribbean. Caribbean shut down their port. Damn it! Alright, I think that's a loss at this point. I'm going to continue working with the strategy. We're going to grab Immune Suppression now. I will do a sped up version of the next, or the saved attempt that I did successfully complete this on. But we'll just continue going over some of the rest of the strategies so you can understand what I did, because it's going to be very fast-paced and I don't want to leave you guys behind. So, alright, blood's done. With all that done, let's go for Genetic Shuffle level 1. This is going to unlock Drug Resistance level 3, which slows down the cure, which, by the way, is already up to 58%, so we need to slow it down a fair bit. Done. And now you pretty much look at what you're missing and say, what do I want to get next, based on whatever you're missing right now. Right now, I have a lot of arid areas. We're hot. Well, not arid, but we are hot in a lot of places. Could go for Bird 2, or I'm going to go instead for Air 1. Increase the likelihood that we are able to spread a little faster in Africa. So yeah, New Zealand and the Caribbean are the two islands that are going to make us lose this particular attempt. And it was a worthy attempt, don't get me wrong. It was a good shot. Okay, let's go for some more lethality then. You would go for Hemorrhagic Shock at this point if you had successfully gotten into those islands, because now you need to start killing fast. Get Dysentery. Total Organ Failure, also a valid option. We're just trying to prioritize lethality. If you are desperate for DNA, what you could do is actually just refund some of these less important symptoms, and quite possibly that would help you, but for now, let's just continue killing. We're probably not going to need a Genetic Shuffle necessarily, but we're going to get one anyway. But yeah, we're going to lose because we're not going to infect New Zealand in time. But again, I have a successful attempt. I've had... This probably makes me have like a 20% success rate with this strategy so far. Maybe a little bit better, maybe I've just been unlucky. It's kind of hard to predict that. We're at 99%. Okay. Oh, come on. Oh, okay. I thought that they actually cured us. They didn't. We killed everybody except for New Zealand and the Caribbean, and they finished the cure. And that also was 383 days, which was too long to have a chance at 3 stars. So at this point, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show the sped-up version of my successful attempt with the exact same strategy, and hopefully you guys know what to look for, and you can use that to your benefit. Now you might say to yourself, well, why not just show the successful run from the beginning rather than go through that whole thing? Well, big part of the reason is this run only took about 4 minutes, pretty fast, and I'm going to be moving pretty fast at this point. I'm not going to be pausing to explain anything, so I want to give you guys an opportunity to see how the strategy works before I do the fast version. But anyway, yeah, so we started off with the Skin Lesions, the Cysts, the Hypersensitivity, the Flea, the Rash now coming out, and the Sweating. And then we're going to start working down some of the zoonotic transmissions as they become available. We have been detected at this point. Go for Rodent. And there is a little bit of play. You know, you could argue going for some levels of genetic hardening at some point would have been pretty good. Slowing down the cure, increase your likelihood of getting some score. Primarily, I was trying to put off lethal symptoms and genetic hardening and put my DNA toward anything that would increase the odds of getting into New Zealand or the Caribbean in the last run, but that did not work. Alright, now we're going to go for the resistances, like I suggested before. And you could argue going for drug resistance first is better, but since we're not in any wealthy areas at this point, it's better to go for some cold and heat resistance, but I want to have at least one level of drug resistance. You know, it's still pretty good even in the poorer areas. But it's not until you get into Europe or the United States that you need to worry too much about getting drug resistance level 2. But now we are in there, so as soon as we have the DNA, we're going to grab drug resistance level 2. Alright, done. Okay, now this is the point where I think I'm trying to decide what to do. I think I'm going to end up going for the Pneumonic Plague. Is that what I go for? Same exact build order? Yes, I think it is. We're going to go for the Pneumonic Plague. Okay, that's correct. I'm watching this live with you guys, basically. I accidentally grabbed the Sneezing. I meant to grab Coughing first, but either one's fine. They're both pretty good, and they don't cost a lot with the Symptostasis. Now we have Pneumonia, which is very important for the cold areas. We're going to go for the Hemoptysis next. And I think I actually did grab Immune Suppression. Yes, I did. I did grab Immune Suppression early in this particular playthrough because I hadn't evolved any lethal symptoms that were a concern at that point except for inflammation. Now we have the Paralysis. Now I'm going for Water 1 and 2. Get me out of those islands. What did I do next? I think I went for the Septicemic Plague instead of the Environmental Hardening. You could go for the Environmentally Hardening next. Oh no, I went for Genetic Hardening. Oh, I stand corrected. I'm trying to slow down the cure. Right, okay. Well, we did get into Greenland. Oh, I know why. So I decided to grab some genetic hardening and kind of wait until we got into some more islands because the Septicemic Plague will mean that you can evolve total organ failure. And if I had done that, that would have been more or less a loss. because I didn't want to get detected. We did get into New Zealand. I'm just missing the Madagascar and the Caribbean at this point. Only thing that I am concerned about. So we go for the vomiting, diarrhea. Now we go for some blood for some poor transmission, since I'm missing Madagascar and the Caribbean. Did get into Madagascar. That's pretty good. What did I go for next? I went for a genetic reshuffle, because I'm going for the drug resistance level 3, so we can spread and kill faster in the United States and Canada and Europe, and also kill so that they don't work on the cure as effectively. So yeah, drug resistance level 3, harder to develop a cure, pretty useful overall. Oh no, actually, I stand corrected again. I'm trying to make live commentary watching my own video. We did evolve dysentery, which is very lucky for us, but we are going to go for the environmental hardening next. Trying to spread faster through Africa, because right now that is the only place where I am missing some people. We're going to go for the total organ failure for the lethality. West Africa just gets infected now. We're missing Morocco and Algeria. Now, if we go for some birds, which is what I do here, I'm trying to cross those land borders without their permission, and the necrosis will allow me to kill and still spread. So that's the only thing I was worried about there. Then we go for some air transmission, trying to get into Morocco, which is an arid territory. There we go. At this point, I'm finally breathing a sigh of relief because, hey, holy God, we finally are going to win this scenario after multiple failed attempts. But we are already almost at 70% cure progress, so that means I am certainly not going to get 3 stars. No healthy people left in the world. We're extremely lethal. I'm not really getting any DNA, so I can't get another genetic reshuffle, which is what I was hoping for, so then I could get 3 stars, but I got unlucky, so no. We're just going to have to run out the clock and let them all die. Yersinia pestis to destroy humanity. Hello. Bam, 2 stars, 60,000 points. It was almost on time, by the way. 363 days. I think you need like 360 or so to get 3 stars, and again, like 55% or 60% cure progress. So had I gotten lucky with a little bit more DNA, so I could get another level of genetic shuffle, we might have had a chance at winning that scenario and getting 3 stars. So the strategy can work, but it doesn't have the best success rate, but honestly, with the Black Death, you're not gonna get the best success rate. That's just a reality of the situation. Anyway, thank you all very much for watching. I do hope that you enjoyed this video. Sorry that I had to kind of break it up, but again, this one is very tough and really hard to get on 3 stars. But beating it on Mega Brutal is possible. The strategy more or less works. We're kind of getting a large variety of transmission types, focusing a lot on some symptoms, trying to get as much value out of our DNA with the most infectivity possible. And I really highly recommend prioritizing the resistances fairly early on before the genetic drift can affect you, because otherwise I don't think you stand much of a chance. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Be sure to hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. And I will see you guys next time.